Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with another set of random encounter ideas that don't suck. Today, the adventurers are taking their chances on the tall, windy peaks of the mountains. Let's see what dangers the altitude will bring. The adventurers leave the relative safety of the final walled village en route to the summit of the huge mountain that is the destination of their travels. Villagers have warned the adventurers of the various dangers along the route, from monsters to difficult terrain to cyclic threats, but the adventurers remain resolute. They begin traveling up a very steep mountainous road used by some of the locals who bring goods into the village. A few miles outside of the village walls, the group stumbles upon an overturned wagon. Its contents, which seem to be large pieces of lumber, have cascaded down the slope a decent way, as if the wagon was struck with a decent amount of force. Other signs in the area will eventually betray the threat, whether it be scorch marks, broken arrows, or huge claw marks. Whatever the case, some of the villagers' warnings seem like they will have some merit. At another point during their journey, the adventurers come upon a small valley between two peaks. This small valley is situated such that it receives much of the sun's rays throughout the day, and as such, melting snow has formed a lake which is surrounded by berry bushes. Upon investigating, the group finds a large number of laden wild blueberry bushes. If there are any adventurers who are interested in agriculture, then they will find that this area benefits from excellent positioning, as the wind, snow, and rain regularly bring fresh nutrients and water to the soil, making this area an excellent place to grow mountainous plants. After crossing the valley, the group comes to a large ravine. They will need to cross the 100-foot expanse in order to continue their journey to the summit, and the only notable method of crossing is a narrow bridge formed naturally from runoff, which freezes during the extreme cold of night. It's certainly a treacherous bridge, as it's 3 feet wide at its widest, has no handrails, and is not well supported on each end. The adventurers may need to come up with a creative means of crossing the ravine, lest they fall victim to this dangerous bridge. Later in their travels, the group comes upon a small mining encampment. If the adventurers enter the area during the day, then there will not be anyone around, and most of the mining equipment will also be missing, as all of the folks in the camp are hard at work. There is one unfortunate soul who will still be in the camp during the day. A young miner lays on top of a bedroll with a wrapped leg held elevated. The injured miner won't be able to defend himself very well if the group attacks, but if they are feeling kind, the miner will tell the group how he broke his leg in a fluke accident yesterday, and he's waiting for someone to be available to bring him down the mountain for better medical aid. If the group has any healers in their midst, then this will be a good opportunity to make a new friend. One evening, while the group is resting, the member who is on watch will have an opportunity to make a perception check, though the group is not under attack. By random chance, the group has selected a campsite close to a rare mountain flower that only blooms in the middle of the night. The flower may or may not have magical properties, as you decide, but it's a flower that many nobles would pay large sums of money for due to its rarity. It's also quite difficult to successfully harvest, as the group's herbalist may find out. The group continues their journey through the winding mountain pass. At some point during the day, the group will finally pass another individual on the road. A beleaguered merchant will come into view, then slowly bring their wagon to a halt. If the adventurers make any sort of threatening gesture, then the merchant will immediately turn their wagon around and flee at maximum speed. Any adventurers who are able to pursue the merchant will find that this individual has recently been robbed of their belongings. It'll be up to you as the DM to create the full story, but the merchant's plights could be due to bandits, orcs, or even giants. After conversing with the passing merchant, the group continues their ascent. It's not long before the survivalist of the group begins to notice some strange markings around the road. If the group follows the tracks, they will lead to a small clearing where a large black wolf seems to be thrashing about. With a decent perception check, the group will be able to determine that the wolf is struggling with something around its paw and is getting more and more frustrated. The animal handler in the group may wish to attempt to calm the beast and remove whatever object is causing its distress. So it'll be up to you as the DM to decide how fretful the beast is. If the adventurer is successful, however, they will find a precious gem embedded into the paw of the creature, so the group will be adequately rewarded for their efforts. Later on in their travels, the group spots a rather large quadruped above them on the slopes. For most group members, the creature will most closely resemble a deer, and a good group of adventurers will certainly recognize the chance to get some fresh rations for the road. The adventurers stalk their prey, and if successful, locate the creature, which actually appears to be a large elk. The group will probably note the lack of horns, betraying the fact that this is either a young, giant elk or a female elk. If the group proceeds with their plan to attack the creature, the young giant elk will let out a tremendous cry, and moments later, its mother, a massive 15-foot tall creature, will bound over to engage the group. Depending on the level of your adventurers, a giant elk can be quite a threat with its fast speed, ramming ability, and relatively high damage on a hit. At another point in their journey, the adventurers pass the entrance to an underground chamber. It's interesting, as the area around the entrance seems to be several degrees warmer than the outdoors. If the adventurers decide to investigate, the underground passage gets warmer and warmer, as the walls even begin to glow with a dim orange light. Soon, they come to the entrance of a much larger chamber, where there is a huge forge and some living arrangements that are certainly made for a giant. Luckily for the group, the cavern's resident, a fire giant, is quite busy creating the next plans for his forge. He's not a particularly aggressive fire giant, instead preferring the solitude to craft whatever designs he wishes in his waning years. That's not to say that he isn't a threat, as this fire giant blacksmith will have access to a myriad of weapons, and the long years required to have expertise in all of them. Still later in their journey, the group nears the mountain's summit. They pass a large, semicircular mound of earth and stone, complete with two large stone statues standing on either side of the mound's entrance. If any of the group members know much about the people in this area, they will instantly recognize it as a burial chamber used by locals, who believe that being buried here will bring them closer to their intended resting place. The adventurer will also know that many of these individuals choose to be buried with the finest of their belongings, making burial mounds like these targets for grave robbers. If the adventurers do choose to investigate, the two stone statues will spring to life as the group comes within range. The two stone golems are quite formidable opponents with their many immunities and resistances, their magical attacks, and their slow ability, which can severely limit melee attackers. Have some fun with these creatures, as this is a combat encounter that will likely last a few rounds. And that brings us to the end of today's mountain encounters. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to smash that subscribe button. If you have ideas or requests for future videos, I'd love to read about them in the comments section below, or on our channel's Discord server, link in the description. Until next time, be well, be excellent to one another, and stay curious, adventurers.